in mind, you realize, which so many people that we've interviewed on this show have kind of said the same thing, say yes to everything in the beginning, you know, like just a lot of yeses. And then eventually you'll turn to some no's and you'll focus on the right yeses.
Welcome to Set Life, where we tell stories from our industry. I'm Kelly Leger, and this is Amber Buteau.
Welcome to Set Life. I'm Amber Buteau, and I am joined today with friends of the studios and dear friends of mine, Abby and Connor. Thanks for coming and hanging out today.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, we're jumping right in today. Normally we talk about backstories. We've interviewed both of you individually. We've heard your story. We've heard where you've come from. If you didn't catch those episodes, you should go catch up on the episodes. You'll learn all about them. But what we want to talk about today is y'all's new partnership and company that you have formed, A2C Entertainment or A2C Productions. So let's dive into that. Where and why and how, everything about the birth of A2C.
The birth of A2C.
I guess it probably starts with like positive.
Yeah, which we actually screened right here at the studio.
Yeah, the first screening ever.
Yes.
First screening ever, which is a fun Easter egg. But Connor and I met in the spring of 2022 in January. I had moved to LA 6 months prior, and I joined an acting studio, Crash Acting. And after a couple months of auditioning and finding that I didn't love the types of scripts and roles I was being submitted for, I wanted to write and produce my own short film. And I kind of stood up in class one day. It was like November 2021. I was like, I want to make a short film. I want a producer, because I wanted to bring someone in who really had already paved that path and could kind of bring me along. And some guy came over to me after class. In my class, his name was Dwayne. And he's like, I have this producing friend of mine. Like, y'all should get coffee, lunch. I'm going to introduce you guys. And Connor and I got coffee in January of 2022.
Yeah.
And I pitched him positive, and we've been working together ever since.
It was kind of interesting.
Over coffee.
Yeah.
Magic over coffee.
Well, that's why I think we had that coffee, and like, we just said, okay, let's do this at the end of that meeting. So it was a good meeting, apparently.
Yeah, and then we're still going with it. But I just think it is, it's a rarity to find somebody that you can lock arms with and partner with, and really kind of complement each other. You know, I mean, Connor, we talked on our episode before about how you've talked about the partnership and how you're like, y'all both do everything, but you both have strengths and they're opposites of each other. So they complement each other and it makes for the best partnership. I completely agree with that. You know, so how lucky were you to like, hey, everybody, I need, and then it just appear. So, you know, that was good.
I think it kind of speaks to my mom told me this growing up all the time. It was like, you need to tell the universe what you want. Yeah. Because, you know, it's not going to know otherwise. Yeah. You have to be very open. Yeah. Because then you'll get what you want sometimes. And I think, you know, being open in class about it, and Dwayne and I had a conversation about me stepping into kind of more of a producing role and looking for people to help produce and that kind of thing. So, and one thing that we discovered working together was that we got a commonality between the two of us is we were very frustrated with how other people work and how slow they work and how we just seemed to enjoy each other's process a bit more than everybody else we'd worked with at that point.
Yeah.
You know,
that's awesome.
I mean, you know how it is in film. Everything moves very slowly.
Slow.
And
it's quick to the slow.
Well, and I think people tend to hide within that a little bit to excuse not getting work done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Our thought is like, it's already slow. Why make it slower?
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason to. So that's why we kind of push as hard as we do to get stuff done.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to look at this in retrospect now, because we've been a company for just over a year. We've worked together for 2 years now. And it's crazy to think 2 years ago, I'd never made a short film. And now 2 years later, I've made 5 and a commercial, directed 2 film festivals, a gala, and we're shooting our first feature in May. Which we're producing on, which we pitched at AFM, which if you told me that even a year ago, I wouldn't have even known kind of how to do that or navigate that. I mean, we all three went together the first time.
We did.
But it's just crazy to think, because I'd never had a partner before Connor. And I meet so many people who have had partners and they tell me these horror stories. And I'm like, Connor was the first person I ever opened up to about what I wanted to do. And I just feel so lucky that that was the first person. And it just worked out like that.
Yep. And I think this industry is easy to make excuses.
Yeah.
In, I get the pleasure of meeting a lot of people and sitting with a lot of people and a lot of people pitching me a bunch of different things. Mm. And one of my questions I always ask is, why have you not done this yet? Like, what's your biggest hang up? Like, what's holding up the project so much? What do you think their answer is the most?
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Money for sure.
So now I'm going to go back and say, how much did you start with, like a loads of money? When you started, did you?
When we started.
That's the question.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we made positive off of crowdfunding.
Yeah, so
and that's the only project that we've crowdfunded.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't a huge amount.
No, it was $7,500 for anyone making a short. That's very small. Also,
very,
a 4-day shoot for $7,500.
And that's $7,500. We paid our crew. We didn't pay ourselves.
Right.
And that's
the location was free. It's my house.
The location was free at Abby's, family home, and her family helped provide the food. We were still on very shoestring. Kind of, getting it done.
So you figured out a way to find the finances to do what you wanted to do, like by crowdfunding and trying to go raise it and putting the projects together. And that's really what I want, people to hear in your story is there can be a lot of excuses of, everybody says money. But I also say if you want something, you've got to start consistently working towards it. You can't just be pitching it and not working to find the answer to the problem.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what y'all have done so well. Is I really want to do this, and I'm going to work hard to do it, and I'm going to keep figuring out how to do it, how to go crowdfund, how to then do that film and go, okay, what did we learn from that film? How do we do the next one?
Sure. Absolutely.
And keep rolling it.
Something that was really meaningful to me that Abby actually said to me when we first kind of met was she's an actress as well. And in the acting world, you have agents and managers, and those people typically take about 10%.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's the number, right? And with actors, there's a common misconception that when you get an agent, you've suddenly made it and you're fine. And, and the jobs will start rolling in.
Yeah.
And that's typically not how it works. And Abby said to me, it's like actors think that agents are going to make their career when in reality, they make about 10% of their career because that's about how much they take from you, right?
Yep.
You still have to do the other 90.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. And that's kind of our approach to the films, the financing and things like that. Yes, obviously everybody's looking for money. Mm-hmm. That's a very common theme when it comes to projects. Yep. But you can't ignore the other 90%.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's really, and I think partnerships are good because this industry is so about collaboration.
Yeah.
Collaborate. One of the things I'm always saying is, hey, if you aren't all about the technical side, find somebody that is. Mm-hmm. Partner with them in some kind of way, because more than likely they're not the visionary. If you're the visionary, they need vision on the side of things, find people that you can partner and work with. Okay, so this is y'all. And you did Positive, and then after Positive, y'all did, what was your next film y'all did together?
Well, so after Positive, we did the screening for Positive, and then we formed our company.
Next film was Cabin Fever.
Which
was the first short that I directed.
Yeah.
And we shot that for no budget. And we purposely, explicitly hired people on that we said, there's no payment, but we will guarantee you'll get the footage within like a month. Yeah. And everyone did.
Yeah. And it was a one-day thing,
2 days.
Did we do
in my
2
apartment.
days? Okay.
Over Super Bowl weekend.
That's right. Oh my God, we did.
And we were to Domino's Pizza and watched the halftime show.
Yeah, and that was a situation where, we were very upfrent about this is kind of for the passion here. We got a little bit of money to throw, but not much.
Yep.
And over the course of a weekend, we shot that. And it was a proof of concept for a feature.
Because I had written the feature and I was like, I just want to know what it feels like to direct one of my own pieces of work and not act in it and just work with actors. We worked with an intimacy coordinator from my studio, which was very cool because I'd never worked with one as a director.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to, because we go into each of our projects with kind of a goal. My goal for Positive was I want to know how to produce something.
Yeah.
So it took like 9 months to produce, figure out, fundraise, do the entire thing.
Yep.
Then for the second one, I wanted to know how to direct it and produce it at the same time, but really like shot list, work with a DP, understand how to sit with Connor in the edit and just like see it from start to finish as a director. So that was our second one. Yeah. And then our third one was Carson Brown.
Yeah. We did a commercial, I think.
We did a commercial in between, which like for anyone who wants to start a production company, I think something cool that Connor and I do is last year we knew we wanted to make a bunch of shorts. Because I was like, I've never directed a lot of shorts. I want to start getting a reel together. How are we going to do that? Okay, the first one, we pulled a lot of favors. Everyone worked for free. Yeah. The second one, we wanted to do with a bigger budget. So what did we do in the interim? We found commercial clients and social media clients, and we made some money for the explicit purpose of getting nicer equipment and shooting another short
supporting
film.
that.
Yeah.
Because before that, the way we were supporting the film and the whole journey was through working. So we would work on Positive, and then I would have to leave for 2.5 months to go work on a movie, and then she would have to fly out to Austin to do a commercial, and it wasn't as focused as it could have been. But we had to survive.
That's right.
Obviously.
Yep.
And so obviously the commercial client was great, and those are tricky to find, but we got really lucky and managed to lock it down. And the commercial was awesome because then we could actually bring on those people, get them paid.
Yep.
And that was everyone from the short that was unpaid.
We hired the same crew.
The same crew.
Yeah. That's great.
And I'm not advocating people work for free, but help your friends out, and they'll hopefully help you out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think in the right relationships, it's everybody's wanting the same end goal if you're in it when you collaborate with the right people. So you're like you're saying, I'll give you the footage or I'll give you credit on editing. Like it helps them in the industry. And all of us can't do it by ourselves, right? Like to do this, we have a big crew of people that are all helping to make this happen. Yeah. By crediting everybody gives them now like, hey, I was the camera op on this. I was the editor on this. I was the DP on this. It gives them something also to go and say, I did this to get a job. Otherwise, how are they, you almost have to collaborate together in the start. And it's great to find people that you can do that with. But I'm saying obviously if you can pay, don't just be able to go and do it for free always.
Yeah, and to that point, I think everybody's time is worth something. And I had to make a really good habit early on when I was freelancing to, I don't work for free. I'll work for no pay, but buy me lunch, pay my gas. Yeah. That kind of thing, right?
Yes.
And again, getting the footage back. I've had feature films where I was told we're not going to be able to pay you what we want to pay you. Everybody's getting paid really low rates. Do not say yes to this if you don't want to.
Right. Yes.
But I say yes because I do get a little bit of money. I get maybe a credit bump. I get to work with a crew that I like, that kind of thing. There's got to be some give and take.
And I think when you have an end goal in mind, you realize, which so many people that we've interviewed on this show have kind of said the same thing, say yes to everything in the beginning, just a lot of yeses. And then eventually you'll turn to some no's and you'll focus on the right yeses. And that is, kind of getting into this because you start learning so many facets of it when you're just like you said, yes, I can drive a box truck on another time we were talking, and you didn't know. That was your version of saying lie until you can tell the truth kind of deal. But it's, fake it till you make it, whatever you want to say to that. It's just being able to say, yeah, I got time on the weekend. It's what I love anyways. And I also say, if you're fun and nice and kind, and who doesn't want to go do their passion with your friends, fun, kind, and nice?
Absolutely.
It's true. I always tell a lot of young actors, because starting out, you often have to work for free. And how do you choose which jobs to work for free? And I always think there's content, there's connections, and there's cash.
It's good.
Is there good content? Okay, you're going for good content, and they're good connections. Great. It should always be 2 out of the 3. Is it good connections and good money, but you don't like the script? Okay, it's still 2 out of 3. Yeah. And always ask yourself, what is making this project worth it? Because if you're working for free, but it's an amazing script and you love the director, absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
But if it's an amazing director and you hate the script and it's for free, maybe that's not what you should be doing.
Yeah, that's
good. And
on
top of that, when I was starting out and starting to do things in college and working professionally, I didn't even know this was a thing, but I thought about it at the time. I was like, I want to make sure, because they said, we're going to give you footage and you're going to work for free. And I would say, well, how do I know I'm going to get footage? Well, we're going to give it to you. And I'd be like, do you mind if I get into a little contract with you? Yeah. Just in case I don't get it by a certain date. And they're like, oh, okay, sure. And so you just structure like a small copy credit contract for like a nominal fee that you can take them to small claims court, which like you're not going to, but it will at least like light a fire for them.
For sure.
And they always give you the footage if that's the case, even if it's terrible. Because I've met so many filmmakers when you're first starting out student films, they're like, oh, well, it just didn't work out, or my editor, or like this and this. I'm like, no, I did a job and this was my payment. So you have to give me whatever you have. Just give it to me. I can find my own editor.
Yeah.
But like, just make sure you support yourself with a contract.
Yeah.
Really important.
That is good. Yeah, that's good. And I love, love, love the triangle. I love that concept, you know, because it gives people a benchmark to gauge on whether or not they should do it or not, how much time they should spend at it, you know, because I would say the same thing on production. Yeah, I went and worked on a feature film for months with no pay. But what I gained from that was a slew of connections. It was my entire film school. It was, I mean, the knowledge that I learned from that alone was, I don't know what dollar amount I put to that.
Yeah.
You know, so I went in with that approach. I went in, so when people come to me and they're like, yeah, well, I can't really work for not getting paid, I'm kind of like, mentality of, well, what are you trying to do? Is what I ask them. Right. What do you want to do? And where are you now? And what am I offering you? If you're offering something like you said, that's what I love of being saying, like, well, you're going to get connections here that are probably going to get you 3 jobs off of just the people you're going to meet here. Or you're going to get such good content that the value of that is thousands and thousands of dollars that you get to attach your name to, also is adding value to in this industry.
For sure.
You know, it's like it's teaching people how to look at that, how to measure that. So you can start saying, okay, I'm past that point now. Like, I don't need that anymore.
Right,
I don't need that anymore. So I need to get paid because I'm above that project.
But it's a little bit of like vigorous honesty, right? You have to be, I think it's important to encourage, especially freelancers, people who are just starting out, to be like very honest with, like you said, what you want out of something.
Yeah.
And also to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in that room of, we're not going to pay you. And then I think I know I did at the beginning of my career. I got bullied and pushed around a lot with that because you're a PA, you're just starting out, you don't have any experience, you don't have any connections, right?
Yeah.
So when somebody tells you we can't pay you, but here's the keys to the truck, like just go pick it up. Yeah. You got to be able to feel comfortable pushing back and going, okay, well, you can't pay me. Can you pay for my lunch? Can you pay for my gas? Like, what can we do here? You know? And 9 times out of 10, if they're a good producer, they'll go, no worries, we got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And to the point about the triangle, I think it's, you know, that's an invaluable way to look at it for actors, for sure. But I think it's also invaluable for producers to look at that as well. Because, again, vigorous honesty, right?
Yep.
Let's be honest about what our project is going to look like for other people coming onto it.
Yep.
Right. What's our value add?
Yep.
Ultimately, what is our project giving to somebody else that they would want to sign on?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then just understanding and knowing that, I mean, that's been the cool part of having a studio and an intern program here. You know, it's part of their intern program requires like, I think 240 hours or something like that. And, you know, the majority of them come with not a whole lot of this level experience.
Sure.
You know, they have kind of some school things. Like, one of the coolest things is the ones that have come and have been willing to be like, yeah, I'm in. I'll do whatever. They paint the floor. They work on cameras. They do lights. They do all kinds of things around here. I try to find out what everybody really wants to do and try to pour into that. Like, hey, go sit and watch the editors edit if you want to edit and learn how they do and what they do.
That makes you a good boss, by the way.
Thanks. And it's, you know, everyone's got a job or earned a job here. The ones that really get it, the ones that are like, I see, because I look beyond what you're wanting to do, but I see your dependability, I see your show up, I see your willingness to be a part of a team and do what it needs to take. I look for core characteristic traits and then look at your talent ability. You know, I mean, there is that. I mean, you have to be able to get to that bar of excellence or whatever. But then if you can't, then finding you another place, another way to do that, you know. So it's just really fostering, even though they're having to work for hours that are for their school or whatever. I mean, if they really nail, like our editor for the show, I mean, she showed up faithfully. She did excellent work. She took direction by everybody that was giving her direction. She was willing to learn. She earned herself a job. Those are also options when you just show up to something and you do excellence. There's that value that there is a job usually, and you can work yourself into a job. Maybe there wasn't a job, but you do a good enough job, you make yourself a job. You make a position for yourself.
Well, that's what, I'm sure acting, you get this too. It's like on set, at least in my experience, people just kept hiring me because they liked me. I didn't really do like an excellent job in any one way, or but I took care of them, made sure they were okay, make sure they were taken care of, and showed up every day and did the work. And it blew my mind that when people are like, "You're a really hard worker," it's like I feel like I'm doing the bare minimum. I don't know what you guys are doing. Yeah. So, and I just think like putting passion into everything we do is important. Yeah. Ultimately, and with acting, right? It's like casting directors who know you and you kind of have a positive relationship with are probably more likely to cast you for things or to think about you for a position.
Well, and the further I get along in the career, it's really interesting because like if you look at all the jobs I booked last year, it's from like the same 2 casting directors here in Texas who I've consistently showed up, done my job, done a good job, I guess. And then I get called back again because they can rely on me for the client because that's their job. Right. They're trying to make the client happy. Yes. And that's for commercials. But I'm now finding, and this is a new territory for me, but like this feature that we're producing in May, I have a role in it. Okay. And I didn't audition for this feature. I got to know the director and I met the director in a very like organic capacity, and he got to know my work and got to know me and offered me the role, which is kind of an ideal scenario. Yeah. But it's this really interesting thing where I got to know him and his company from a producerial perspective, and was never like, I want to be in, like, I was never offering or asking for that. Yeah. But once you've established your work and you just come into it without any expectation, being like, okay, we want to work on something with you. I'm not asking for a specific position, but like, we just want to be involved in the project because we like you. Yeah. Then like you're saying, working for free. Like we developed this project, we're not getting paid. Like it's sweat equity. We're just like having a good time. We like this person. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is now a job. And this is something that I don't even think I would have had the opportunity to audition for otherwise. Yeah. So you just never know. Yes.
Yeah. Creating your own opportunities, right?
Yes.
And you'll stumble into them. Like we've stumbled into so many without even realizing it.
But I think it's y'all's approach, I mean, starting a company, by the way, this is something you've stumbled into, I feel like, is your Instagram page. Oh. You have a large following in just 1 year, but the content that you're putting out is just great.
Oh, thank you.
It's great. I mean, I think you should create a sleep app too. Your voice is so soothing. It's like, that. I'm just going to listen about short films. This is amazing.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's, also spending time to find time to do that. And then what works with that. And like you found your little hidden gift that you didn't even know you had to be able to do voiceover reels like that. I mean, that's great. And then, like you said, just your all's pursuit to keep doing and creating and not waiting for a handout, but you keep creating and doing to try to make your way in it is, what I think is really inspiring about y'all's story and your company, the birth of your company in a 1 year. Like you said, you went from positive to 5 shorts, all these, your film festivals of giving back, how y'all have reached out and gave back to the community. Yeah. Can tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. And Abby's heard me tell this story a million times. So
you're welcome, Abby.
Her eyes probably roll over. But to the point about, making your own opportunities, right? Like there's a writer and director that I follow and producer named Christopher McQuarrie. He did the last couple of Mission Impossible movies, and he did this long kind of Twitter thread about writing and screenwriting and what that means and what it looks like on the whole. And he talked about how screenwriting is really tough because what you do is you write a script and then you hope somebody buys it, and then when they buy it, they push you aside and then they go make the movie. Mm-hmm. And then you get a bunch of money, and then you have no idea, you're kept out of the process. You don't know what, writing a script and selling a script doesn't help you sell a script in the future. It just means you're good at selling that one script, and they typically don't buy that one script again. Yep. Right? Yep. So what he found as a screenwriter for that worked for him was, instead of relying on that, instead of playing the lottery, right? Playing the lottery doesn't help you win the lottery again.
Yeah.
He found that learning how to produce, learning how to become self-sufficient was important, being essential to the process.
Yeah.
And he spent his career learning that. And he said, if you can create, improve, and demonstrate value, then you'll always have a job. And if you can figure out a way to find the piece of the puzzle that you can be essential to, you'll always work and be able to make things happen. Right?
Yeah, I agree completely.
And then we can segue that into the that works with our nonprofits as well.
Yeah, no, I think a big part of us starting the company together, following Positive, because we had this fundraising gala for the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion Scholarship here in the Woodlands. And that was kind of a central theme in the film, because my sister received that scholarship and she's now a junior at USC in opera. And she's pursuing that profession like wholeheartly, which is her dream. So it's so exciting.
Yes, it is.
But we initially thought maybe we'll start a 501c3. That was our initial thought. And then the question was, well, we want to do films. We want to make films. And how is there a way that we can still benefit nonprofits with everything we do? So now every event or film or anything we put together, we partner with and benefit a nonprofit that is directly related to what we're trying to do. So last year we had a film festival for Film Fatales, which is an all-female, non-binary, like it's an international film group of all female directors who have joined the DGA. So anyone who's directed their first feature. And we reached out to them and got a lot of films from their members who had never screened or who had wanted to be screening during the SAG and WGA strikes. So we directly partnered with them, like gave their talent a place to showcase, and then donated money to them afterwards. And through that, not only did we get to meet so many incredible filmmakers, but we got to show our shorts, we got to see their shorts, we got to have a fun event, we had a nacho truck.
Right.
Like,
We built a reputation as a company, and people are able to, think about us when it comes to running a successful event, and having the positive interactions that they did at the festival. And it's like Film Fatales didn't. It's not like they were looking to put on a film festival. We just approached them with the idea. And that's we're trying to find our niche and create opportunities where they just might have not existed before.
And that's great.
So that's a big part of what we do, and that's the work that we both feel really passionately about. Like that's kind of, I think, why we wanted to go into business together, is because we both have a love for film, like a passion for it, but also the nonprofit aspect of what we do was something that was kind of unique to the two of us.
That's that's another thing that I love about y'all. It's like we have an app. We launched a studio app, and on the app you see everything about the studio. You see all of our projects. You see everything in development, from the trilogy book series to Delusion to the movie that's going to theaters in May that we have called Multiplied. We have another docuseries we just picked up, What Are the Stakes? So we have all these projects on there, but a lot of them are for really good causes. So also on there, you have a tab that's Get Involved. And they're all the nonprofits that we support. So they're kind of, I shouldn't say that we support, they're just vetted, that we've had some sort of, interaction with. They're good, solid places that if this inspired you, reach out to these people and get involved somehow, some way. It's kind of, how do we help those two worlds meet and collide and support each other? Because we have that ability. We have the voice in media, and they need a voice, and they need so many things. How do we be their voice and point people back to? And then our audiences that, like I think a Sound of Freedom that came out that did so well, and everybody was thinking, everybody wanted to save a child. Where do I go to trust to save a child? You know what I mean? Like, where do they point us to a nonprofit that we're like, oh, this is a place I can trust. Like, I can go here and they're actually working to save children. It's not just there's just so many nonprofits, so they're a trust place. So it was like, how do we have good working relationships with nonprofits that we've all got to know and help funnel people that have the same passion, like, hey, these people need help. Come work with them, come volunteer with them, donate to them, whatever your part is, but kind of connecting those two worlds together. So I'm a huge component of that as well. Like, I think that is part of our purpose.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
I think what's the whole point of this, right? It's like we should be able to help somebody.
Yeah.
Ultimately, with the amount of wastefulness that goes on in production, you know what I mean? Like, why can't we kind of spread that a little bit?
Yeah.
And actually put some of the money to a good use. Right.
Okay, so sad but true. We're gonna have to wrap up. But okay, what is the future for A2C in a short snippet, and then how do people follow y'all's journey, see what's coming up, get involved, reach out, DM, whatever they do? How does that go? Whatever they do. How does that go?
Well, this will be the year of the first feature for A2C.
Yeah.
For sure going to be associate producing on one. And then we've got a slate of several features in various stages of development, hoping that one will get greenlit later this year as well. So that will be our first original feature debut.
Yeah.
Which we're very excited about.
Very excited about. And then as far as following us, we're on Instagram, we're A2C_entertainment. So the number 2, A2C.
Yep.
And then we're both on Instagram.
Yeah, and we're really responsive to DMs. We get a lot of questions.
I don't know if people know that. You can just DM us and we will answer. We're the only ones on our Instagram account.
Just us.
You're like that. They were talking about AI they have a new program now where you can AI generate responses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, I'm not a bot. It is actually me.
Right.
I am actually writing you back.
Sitting right here.
It will be me.
And then on Instagram, we started doing this new thing recently called Filmmaker Fridays.
Oh.
So we've started going on Instagram Live, which I don't know if anybody uses that function or not. But
it's just us.
It's just us, I think, yeah. And we usually interview a filmmaker in our community, or just somebody we reach out to who wants to do an interview, and kind of talk about them and their process and that kind of thing. And we get people who watch it, and we usually post a clip about it.
Every Friday, 1 p.m. PST, 3 p.m. CST.
Yeah.
And we've been getting some really good responses. We have some cool people coming up.
That's awesome.
So you can directly message those people on the lives, and people are super responsive.
Right.
So.
It's super casual. This is a great interview setup. We are very casual.
We're just in my kitchen.
Yeah, I think we were in Abby's kitchen. Like last week, our guest was like on their couch with their cat on their chest.
Yeah.
You know, like, because it's a FaceTime thing.
It's couch conversation.
But that's live. That's what live shows are about. So yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm just, to be your friend on the show and off the show, and working with y'all on our own project and things that we have going. The first time I met y'all from Positive to now, I've always known y'all were going to make your mark on this world. And I'm just excited to watch y'all do you in it.
Thank you, Amber. That means a lot.
So I'm a big believer in y'all and a big supporter. So I can't wait till we sit down here again in another year or so and hear all the great things that y'all have done and made the world a better place because of it.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Until then, we'll see you on Set Life.